After opening Visio, you will want to select the basic flowchart template. Select the US units and then Create. You will notice on the left-hand side you have your basic shapes. Across the top you have your menus and toolbars. The first change that we want to make is to change our view. We'll click on the View menu, select the Zoom option, and we want to change it to at least 100% so that we can see clearly what we're doing, and click OK. The second thing that we will want to change is to go to our Design menu, select Orientation, and select Portrait. We will be using the example on page 20, figure 1-4 of your textbook to draw our flowchart. We're going to begin with what your book refers to as the terminal symbol, which in Visio is called the start-end symbol. We're going to hold down our left mouse button and drag to the center of our template. Notice that you have the handles, the little squares, all around this symbol. As long as those symbols are there, you can type. So let's just go ahead and type the word start in that symbol. Now, you don't want to press enter to get out of that symbol because that would just make that symbol bigger. Instead, we want to click outside of that symbol. It is important to save your files often so that you don't lose your work. To save this file, we want to go to the File menu and select Save As. When you choose a folder to save your file in, it is important that you remember where you saved it to. In this class, it's going to be best to save your files to a USB drive if you have them. If not, you can save them to the desktop or to the Documents folder. However, just remember that you have to remember where you saved it to. Whenever you save a file for this class, you'll always want to begin the name of the file with your first initial and last name. And for this exercise, we will add page 20. It is better not to add spacing into these names that you save, because if you transfer it to other files and to other programs, the spacings may not work as well. So we won't put any spacing in it, and we'll name it with your first initial, your last name, page number 20. Then we will select Save. Now the file is saved so that if we have to quit unexpectedly, we won't have lost the information that we have already recorded. The next symbol that we want to draw onto our screen is the input. Input is the parallelogram. It is called data in our Visio program. So we will drag the data symbol and line it up underneath the start. Notice the guidelines that you have that will snap it into the correct position for you. Here we will type input my number. Now, my number is a variable name. We will discuss variable names in another chapter, but notice the capitalization of the variable name. It begins with a lowercase letter, and then the second word is capitalized. This identifies this word as a variable name. Variable name just means that in one time you run the program, the my number might be 10. The next time you run the program, you could input a 50. It's going to be variable. It's going to be different every time the program runs. We will click outside of the symbol to save it. The next symbol we're going to draw is the decision symbol. The decision symbol looks like a diamond. We use decision symbols to allow the user to make a choice. We begin the statement with the word if my number less than 10. We click outside of the symbol once we have completed our message. Now, I noticed that I left off the question mark, so I would like to correct this. To correct something, you have to double click on the symbol, and then you will need to position your I-beam where you want the correction to be made. I'm going to add my question mark, and then I will click outside of the symbol again. Now, I noticed that this symbol might look better if all of that was on one line instead of being divided into two lines. So I can also change the size of my symbol. To change the size, I will click once on the symbol. I will find one of the handles. Notice that when I place my mouse pointer over one of the handles, it will change to a double-sided arrow. This means I can resize this symbol. So I'm just going to drag it out to the right a little bit until all of my words fit on one line. Now, that has made my symbol not to be quite in the right place. So to move a symbol, you put your mouse pointer in the middle of the symbol, and you'll notice the four-sided arrow. The four-sided arrow then allows you to move that symbol anywhere that you want to on the screen. If you pay attention to the guidelines, it will help you to line that up in the appropriate position. The next symbol that I'm going to draw is a process symbol. The process symbol is always used to make the computer do something. And in this case, we're going to make the computer do math. Anytime you see a math symbol, you're going to need a process box. In this case, we are going to double that my number. Now, we need another variable name. And in this case, we're going to use the variable name my answer. My answer equals my number, and we use the asterisk for multiplication, which is the shift of the 8, my number times 2. This will double whatever number that the user put in the program. I will now click outside of that box to save it. Now notice instead of going in a straight line that I did go out to the right a little bit here and down. This allows me to draw a line when we go to connect our boxes to see what we're supposed to do. We will now draw two output symbols. Now the output symbol is the same thing as we use for the input symbol, which is the parallelogram called the data symbol. And we're going to drag this right underneath our process symbol. And we will just type the words output my answer. Then we will click outside. Now we need a second output to output my error message, and we're going to do that just to the left of my decision box. So we'll pull a decision box out to the left there, and here we will type the words output, and then in quotation marks, we want to type in, we only handle numbers under 10, and then close your quotation mark. By putting the quotation marks around that, it's going to type, when the program runs, it will type the exact words that are in the quotation marks. In our other output box, we typed a variable name. It won't type that variable name when it runs the program. Instead, it will type what the answer of the input number of 10 times 2 would be 20 in this case. The last symbol that we want to draw is the terminal symbol. Again, this is the start end symbol that we will try to line up with the original start symbol, and we want to make sure that we have enough room that we can draw lines to it. So here we will just type in the stop and click outside to save it. Now's probably another good time to click on your save button to save what we've done so far. Now we want to use the connector tool to draw lines from each of our symbols to complete our flowchart. Now the connector tool is in the middle section of your tools here, and it's called connector. If after you have clicked on the connector tool, if you put your mouse on that start symbol, you'll notice at the bottom of that symbol there's a little square, and we want to put our mouse on that square and then drag a line from that square to the top of the square on the next symbol. Same thing after the input symbol, you want to go to the bottom of that symbol and draw to the top of the next symbol. Now, on the decision tool, we'll have to have a line on both the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So we want to start on the right-hand side and drag a connector across and then down. Now, notice that it got a little crooked there for a minute, but it finally straightened itself out. You don't want to drag diagonally. You want to drag across and then down. Same thing with my answer then, from the bottom of that symbol to the top of the output symbol is how we want to draw that line. And then we'll come back to my number, and we're going to drag across to the left and then back down to the top of that symbol. Now to draw the lines from the output symbols to the stop symbols, we're going to have to do something a little different, because we have to have a line that the stop symbol will go to, rather than sending the output symbol directly to the stop symbol. Now, to make this a little easier, we can change our view to show our grid lines. So if you click on your view menu and then click where it says grid, that will put these grid lines on your screen, and that just makes it a little easier when you're drawing lines. I'm going to go back to the home menu so that now I can use my line tool. Now, to get to the line tool, next to this pointer tool, you'll see a rectangle with a drop-down list arrow. We're going to select the drop-down list arrow and then select the line tool. I'm going to drag from the left output symbol, and I'm going to drag down to the nearest grid line that is below output my answer but above stop. And then I'm going to let go of that line. Then I'm going to do the same thing from my output my answer, and I'm going to go to that same grid line so it will be in exactly the same spot. It takes 3 clicks to draw this line. Then I'll go across and connect those 2 lines. Then I can go from the middle of that line down to the stop symbol. That means after I have outputted an error, it's going to stop, and after I have outputted my answer, it's going to stop. Now I want to use the text box tool to label the yes and no on the decision symbol. So I will click on the text tool, and then I will click on the line that is drawn between the decision box and the next symbol. And I will, once that text box appeared, I can just type in the word yes. I'll do the same thing on the left side and type in no on that symbol. Now, keep in mind that if you want to change anything about what you have drawn or done, you must have that pointer tool selected, especially if you've been using the line tool or the connector tool or the text tool. If you want to change anything, you will have to go back to that pointer tool. If I want to move something up or move something down or maybe correct something, I've got to have my pointer tool in order to make any kind of corrections. I want to use that text tool one more time to type my name on this paper. So I'm going to click on that text tool, and I'm going to come over to the right hand side and just drag me a box that's big enough to type in my name and today's date. I might even also want to type in the name of that I named this so that if I have a printed out copy, I could be able to find it again. And I will just click again. Now that I have finished my Visio document, I want to make sure I save it again by clicking on the Save icon. Now I want to be able to copy all of that I've done from Visio into a Word document so that I can then upload it to Blackboard. I'm going to click on the right-hand side of my toolbar on the Select button and then select the Select All button. That will select everything on your screen for you. The next thing I want to do is to go all the way back over to the left-hand side of my toolbar and select Copy. This will copy this drawing into a Word document for me. I just have to paste it for me. It is now in the memory, and now I want to paste it. So the next step is to open up a Word document. I'll choose a blank document. I want to make sure we can see. And then I will click on the Paste button. That pastes in everything that I drew in my Visio into my Word document. Now I'm ready to save it, so I'll go to File, Save As. I want to save it to my desktop. I'm going to name it P. Strozier, my first initial, last name, page 20, with the DOCX extension. Now, this is saved as a Word document. I am now ready to upload my document to my Blackboard account. Now, once you have your Blackboard account open, we will go to the Lessons tab and then we'll go to learning modules. This is part of learning module 1. We will go to the Visio demo practice, and we will browse my computer, and we will open up the file that we saved on the desktop. And it was called P. Strozier, page 20. Now, I want to make sure that I get the Microsoft one, the Microsoft Word document, not the Visio one. So I'll click on the Microsoft Word document and click on Open. If I want to make a comment about what I thought of this lesson, I learned to use Visio in this lesson, or I could say any of the other things that I want to say. And once I have attached that file, all I have to do then is submit, and I have that document submitted.